There is no specific minimum height requirement for laundry room receptacles intended for a washing machine. The electrical code treats washing machine receptacles the same as any other standard 125-volt, 15-amp, or 20-amp receptacle found throughout a dwelling. This means the primary consideration for installation height is accessibility and convenience for the user. While there is no prescriptive minimum height, several factors should influence the decision of where to place the receptacle. Firstly, consider potential water exposure. While laundry areas are designed to handle moisture, it's prudent to install the receptacle at a height that minimizes the risk of water intrusion. A height above the flood level of the washing machine, should a leak occur, is a good starting point. Secondly, think about the ease of plugging and unplugging the washing machine. Bending down too low or reaching up too high can be inconvenient, especially for individuals with mobility limitations. A comfortable reach range should be the target. A typical range is between 15 inches and 48 inches from the floor. This range accommodates a wide variety of users and appliance configurations. Thirdly, consider the placement of the washing machine relative to other appliances and fixtures. Ensure the receptacle is positioned so the power cord can reach without being stretched excessively or creating a tripping hazard. Avoid placing the receptacle directly behind the washing machine where it might be difficult to access. Fourthly, adhere to all applicable electrical codes and regulations. While there isn't a specific height requirement for laundry room receptacles, other general requirements for receptacle installation must be followed. These include proper grounding, appropriate wiring methods, and protection against overcurrent. Consult the National Electrical Code, specifically Article 210.52 and Article 406 for detailed information on receptacle installation requirements. Fifthly, consider future maintenance and repairs. Installing the receptacle in an easily accessible location will simplify any future troubleshooting or maintenance work. Avoid placing the receptacle in a hard-to-reach area that would require moving heavy appliances to access. Remember that local codes and ordinances may have additional requirements or restrictions regarding receptacle installation. It's always a good idea to check with the local building department or a qualified electrician to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. While there is no minimum height, there are some other considerations that must be taken into account when installing a washing machine receptacle. One is GFCI protection. The National Electrical Code requires that all receptacles installed in laundry areas must be ground fault circuit interrupter protected. This is to protect against electric shock. A GFCI receptacle will trip and de-energize the circuit if it detects a ground fault, which is a leakage of current to ground. This can happen if a person comes into contact with a live wire and a grounded object. GFCI protection can be provided by a GFCI receptacle or a GFCI circuit breaker. Another consideration is the type of receptacle to use. A standard 125-volt, 15-amp or 20-amp receptacle is typically used for washing machines. However, some washing machines may require a 240-volt receptacle. Consult the washing machine's installation instructions to determine the proper type of receptacle to use. Another consideration is the wiring method to use. The wiring method must be appropriate for the location and the type of receptacle being installed. In most cases, non-metallic sheath cable, such as Type NM cable, is used for wiring receptacles in laundry areas. However, in some cases, conduit may be required. Consult the National Electrical Code for specific requirements. Another consideration is the labeling of the receptacle. The receptacle should be labeled to indicate that it is for use with a washing machine. This will help to prevent someone from plugging in an appliance that is not compatible with the receptacle. The label should be permanently affixed to the receptacle or the receptacle cover plate. Another consideration is the placement of the receptacle in relation to the water supply lines. The receptacle should be placed so that it is not likely to come into contact with water from the water supply lines. This will help to prevent electric shock. Another consideration is the placement of the receptacle in relation to the drain line. The receptacle should be placed so that it is not likely to come into contact with water from the drain line. This will help to prevent electric shock. When planning the location of the receptacle, It's also wise to consider future changes or additions to the laundry room. Will you be adding a dryer in the future? Will you be rearranging the appliances? Planning ahead can help you avoid having to relocate the receptacle later on. If you are unsure about any aspect of receptacle installation, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician will be able to assess the specific conditions of your laundry room and provide advice on the best location and installation method for the receptacle. They can also ensure that the installation complies with all applicable codes and regulations. In summary, while there is no specific minimum height requirement for laundry room receptacles for washing machines, careful consideration should be given to accessibility, convenience, water exposure, electrical code compliance, and future maintenance. By considering these factors, you can ensure that the receptacle is installed safely and effectively. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. When selecting the physical receptacle itself, be sure it is listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories or Intertech. This listing indicates that the receptacle has been tested and meets safety standards. Using listed receptacles is crucial for ensuring electrical safety and preventing potential hazards. Also, make sure the receptacle is rated for the appropriate amperage and voltage for the washing machine. Using a receptacle that is not properly rated can overload the circuit and create a fire hazard. If the washing machine requires a 20 amp circuit, use a 20 amp rated receptacle. If it requires a 15 amp circuit, a 15 amp rated receptacle is sufficient. Check the washing machine's nameplate for the specific amperage and voltage requirements. When connecting the wiring to the receptacle, ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and create a fire hazard. Use a screwdriver to tighten the screws and the receptacle terminals securely. Also, be sure to use the correct size and type of wire connectors for the wiring being used. Wire connector should be listed by a recognized testing laboratory and should be appropriate for the size and type of wire being connected. After the receptacle is installed, test it to ensure that it is working properly. Use a receptacle tester to verify that the receptacle is properly wired and grounded. A receptacle tester will also indicate if there are any ground faults or other wiring problems. If the receptacle tester indicates a problem, do not use the receptacle until the problem has been corrected by a qualified electrician. When working with electricity, always take safety precautions. Turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical components. Use insulated tools to prevent electric shock. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from debris. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work. Working with electricity can be dangerous, and it is important to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself from injury. In addition to the height of the receptacle, consider the location of the receptacle relative to other utilities, such as water pipes and gas lines. The receptacle should be located so that it is not likely to come into contact with these utilities. Contact with water pipes or gas lines can create a safety hazard. Also, consider the location of the receptacle relative to doorways and windows. The receptacle should be located so that it is not likely to be damaged by people or objects passing through doorways or windows. Damage to the receptacle can create a safety hazard. When installing the receptacle, be sure to use the correct type of mounting hardware. The mounting hardware should be appropriate for the type of wall or surface that the receptacle is being mounted to. Using the wrong type of mounting hardware can cause the receptacle to become loose or detached from the wall, which can create a safety hazard. After the receptacle is installed, inspect it regularly for any signs of damage or wear. Damaged or worn receptacles should be replaced immediately. Replacing damaged or worn receptacles can help to prevent electrical hazards. Here are a few additional tips for installing laundry room receptacles. Firstly, use a dedicated circuit for the washing machine. This will help to prevent overloading the circuit and tripping the breaker. Secondly, use a heavy-duty receptacle that is designed to withstand the demands of a washing machine. Thirdly, consider installing a surge protector to protect the washing machine from power surges. Power surges can damage electronic components and shorten the lifespan of the washing machine. Fourthly, make sure the receptacle is properly grounded. Grounding helps to protect against electric shock. Fifthly, if you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself from injury. By following these tips, you can ensure that your laundry room receptacles are installed safely and effectively. And lastly, remember that all electrical work should be performed in accordance with the National Electrical Code and local codes and regulations.